Hey everyone, and welcome to the Panhandle with Crystal Boyles. This is our last episode in our August mini-series, Embrace the Suck. And we've talked about employees, customers, change. So if you're just joining us, do go back to episode 10. Get caught up to where we're talking about today. And today we're talking about growth. I have Nathan here with me again, my husband and business partner at Adams Sanitation. And we've been through growth lately. Growth is scary, it's hard, it can suck. You want growth for your business because that means that you're doing good and getting bigger, and hopefully that means doing better.
Sure.
But growth can also kill a business, and doing it too fast can kill a business. And so as we grew this year, it was scary. It felt risky, it was hard, and we're still going through it, but we're on the other side of it now to have a little bit of perspective on what lessons did we learn? And our growth was unusual. It was hard. It wasn't something we could plan out and take in chunks. It was do it now or lose the opportunity potentially. So it was or do it or don't. And it was hard for me.
It was very hard for you. And, so growth is certainly a form of change, but I think it's a very specific form of change. And so it's got its own, unique issues that come along with it. And so for me, again, because I embrace change, embracing growth is more natural to me. But for, I think, the majority of personalities, there's that kind of built-in hesitation. And, in the business world, certainly I'd heard it from bankers about, being careful about not growing too fast. And we had this unique opportunity to expand into a new county, and we literally tripled overnight. And since then, we've added a multiple again. And so, gone from 3,000 customers to 13 in 6 months period of time. I think by most any definition, that's that rapid growth that can be very dangerous, risky to a business. But I'll say in, this kind of post-pandemic world and a very technology-heavy world, it's also not that unusual anymore. And so I think there are lots of industries or opportunities where you can have that level of rapid growth. And so certainly I'm a risk taker, but I'm the one that says, I won't say don't listen to everyone else, but I think that don't be afraid of growth simply because folks say, well, that's dangerous. I think much of it comes down to having a good plan and then being flexible and adaptive as you try and execute that plan.
Because sometimes you have to pivot quite quickly.
It was less than 45 days to stand up an operation in a new county, servicing about 6,700 new customers. And in our business, that included carts and trucks and an accounting system and a billing system and
people,
new employees, right? Yeah. We went from 9 to 39 employees, something like that within a very short period of time. The way we did it, and I'm sure there are better ways, but we on day 45 leading into that, we built a very detailed plan of all the things that needed to happen. And then we divided those responsibilities up. And then we daily and weekly, we were checking back to that plan, changing it as we needed to, and trying to mark off those achievements that we knew we had to accomplish before day zero.
And as a list person, I appreciated that. And I was surprised that you took that approach, but it was quite helpful. Just everybody looking at the same sheet of music, so to say.
The other thing that we did that I think probably made some of our people nervous in hindsight is I insisted that we put a countdown clock in our Baker office. And so we actually had a doomsday countdown clock that was counting towards January 1 when we had to stand up and start that service.
That was a hard time on us as business owners, just financially, figuring out how you have this growth. I mean, growth is expensive. You just don't have all that money on day one.
Sure.
So you have to finance it. So that was hard. But then from the employee perspective, we were really working them hard. Our core group, we were very small. We didn't have many people to spread out those tasks to. And so it was hard for our whole organization.
Yeah, it was certainly, it's stressful. I think that's something you need to know if you're going into that, right? You better have buy-in from your team. And I think, work-life balance is really important. I think the way we had to achieve it during that period of time is saying, hey, we were going to really buckle down and pour into this. I mean, we were working 7 days a week for 2 months, knowing that there would be a period that once we got past that we should be able to kind of slow down and moderate the pace and catch our breath. And I think we're finally starting to get to that point, at least at the moment. We may, if things go well, have another substantial growth spurt. But you do need to take that breathing period in between.
Because you learn some lessons and you hopefully will do it better next time.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I think, and the only way to learn some of those lessons, I don't think we can tell here. I mean, there was a lot going on in a very short period of time. I'd just gotten a diesel truck that I filled up with 30 gallons of gas, the night before. I think it was about 11 o'clock, trying to distribute dumpsters the night before we were starting service over there. And
you were operating on no sleep. And
some of those things you just have to live. Some of those are not experiences you can teach.
Yeah, that was about my breaking point almost when you called me, like, I need you to come get me.
The truck survived. But.
It did survive. But something we've learned is scaling. Just phone system. Number of people answering your phone when you grow. What you're doing now won't work when you have more customers. You're going to have to change. From my position in the company, I was the accountant. I had just decided to homeschool last summer, and I was able to do my role for the company from home easily, keeping up with the payroll and the bills and the budgeting. It was manageable. And then we grew, and I realized, okay, I got to pick one. I either can keep trying to balance homeschool life and managing a company, or I'm going to have to be the accountant and be involved in the nuts and bolts. And you just have to pick. You have to let some stuff go, because you can't do the daily chores of a business and also run your business. And that was a lesson I had to learn.
No, I think that's a really good point. And for me as well, I was, much more involved on the daily operational side. And so I've had to be able to, over the last few months, if we want to continue to grow, right, and develop our brand and do all of those things, then you can't do it all. And I think that's something maybe some business owners certainly struggle with. I mean, and we're still finding our way, but we've decided that we've got a great team that we've brought in, right? And we've got Christopher here, who's our chief marketing officer. We've got an accounting and HR manager. We've got an operations manager now, and so those are all things. We try and take care of those folks, pay them well. What that's meant for us as owners is that what we do is we take less out. But we're able to focus our resources then and our time in other places. And I think that can be a difficult thing for business owners to do, especially when you have this real sense of ownership over the thing. If you've built it, which really we did with this company, it can be hard to hand those pieces off. But frankly, I think it's critical. If you want to be able to grow at some point, you can't grow and do it all. Those things just don't go together.
You'll miss opportunity. You won't be able to notice things that could be done better. You have to have that bandwidth.
Yeah, and everybody, there's only 24 hours in a day, right? Yeah.
So what else have we learned?
Well, I think, out of that is learning to, that learning to let go means empowering your people, right? And so that's something we're working really hard to try and figure out how to do, is to get a good team in place and then give them the freedom to make decisions. And so I won't say, we do calls Monday, Wednesday, Friday with our management team, and I won't say that there are things that are discussed that I'm thinking, man, if I would do that a little bit differently, but I'm learning to just sit back and go, you know what, they've handled it. They've got a reason for why they're doing it the way they're doing it, and it appears to be working. And so maybe I just need to keep my mouth shut and let them do what they're doing, because that's what I've got them here for. And so it's that really trying to figure out a way to empower those folks. Not just bringing. I think there's a difference between bringing somebody in to do the work and then actually empowering them to be able to make the decisions and getting out of that micromanage mode that's kind of just natural when you're a business owner.
Which may mean that we eventually don't attend all three of those meetings every week, that you just check in and let them work together.
Sure. I think we've certainly decided, and this isn't for everybody, but we've decided that I think that we want a business that doesn't require us to function, right? If I build it around me to where nothing can get done without me moving or being involved, then I have to recognize that I'm stuck in the middle of it. And I think we've certainly recognized for ourselves as business owners with a young family that's not where we want to be, is stuck in the middle of it. So.
The only thing I've learned that growth can feel a little risky, and being comfortable with the unknown. I mean, you may have to invest a little bit of money or time and it not work out, and using that as a learning opportunity to do it better next time than a failure. It's not a failure. You just need to do it differently.
Well, and growth is, I kind of take this view that life is short. And then if you take your working life, it's even much shorter than that. Yeah. And so if you've got an objective that you're trying to achieve, then you've got to be willing to embrace that growth when it comes, right? Because if you turn it away, my view is that it may not be there when you decide you're ready for it. To me, it's kind of like that. When's the right time to have a kid?
Yeah,
never. Right? So just embrace it when it comes, and everything will work out. That's my glass half full view, at least.
Yes, and that's why we need each other. All right, well, I guess that's it. That wraps up our mini series of Embrace the Suck. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for coming on the show.
Glad to be here. I can't believe it took this long to get an invite, but I'm glad to be here.
So this was a little different. So wherever you listen to your podcast, drop us a line. Let us know if you prefer this style podcast over the longer versions. We're curious to see what people are looking for. So thank you so much. See you next time.